So how do you keep from burning out on Animal Crossing? Well, I've played the series for nearly 20 years now, and after all that time, I still find a way to come back to the game and enjoy each new installment. So I want to talk about 7 things I do when playing Animal Crossing in order to keep myself from burning out on the game. Whether you're starting over or keeping up with your current island, these are the things that I would recommend doing to keep yourself from getting too bored too fast. I will say though, I think the big thing with Animal Crossing is please by all means play the way you like to play. My version of the game is going to be different from yours, so if these things don't fit how you want to enjoy Animal Crossing, go ahead and ignore them. That's totally fine. So my first piece of advice is probably going to be the most contentious, but I'm going to recommend do not time travel. This series is one of the few that actually sticks to a real-time clock, and for a lot of people, it may feel really slow. It doesn't give them the rewards that they want right away, but I'll say this concept is totally ingrained in how Animal Crossing is made and meant to be enjoyed. You do little things every day, you take it one day at a time, and then you look back a month down the line, 2 months down the line, maybe a year later, and you just see how far you've progressed through the game. There's a real sense of satisfaction that you get from waiting. But I think the biggest thing that happens when you stop time traveling is that you start to take in every single thing in the game. Just by enjoying the day-to-day of the game, you start to appreciate all the little things, the little quirks that you find as you play. My one recommendation with playing in real time is to set your clock so that it works with your schedule. Let's say you work a night shift and you sleep through most of the day. By the time you're on, all the shops are closed, none of your villagers are up. It's really hard to get the experience when the rest of the game is sleeping. Switch your clock up so you can actually have everything awake and alive while you are up. And luckily the latest update is adding the new ordinances. Early bird and night owl are good ways to keep your shops open during hours that you're actually on. Overall, I would say that avoiding time travel is going to let you explore more of what you can do in the game and find more of the activities that you can enjoy. For number 2, I personally like to make a daily routine in the game. So my daily routine is actually tied into my number 3 as well, which is setting long-term goals, but before we get into that, I'll tell you what I do. So whenever I log into the game, I know exactly what I like to do. I'm going to be talking to all my residents, I'm going to be giving gifts to the ones I'm trying to get photos from, I dig up my fossils, I go shopping, I catch some fish, some bugs, and diving creatures, and then I do a little bit of crafting, both tools and furniture. These tasks give me a focus right when I log in, but then I also find all of the little distractions that I run into as I'm doing these tasks. One of the biggest things that happens is my villagers run up to me and interrupt what I'm doing. Sometimes I'll hear a balloon flying over my head. Sometimes Sahara shows up and I spend all of my time buying all of her carpets and wallpapers and then have to make another trip back home to drop those off. I think the big thing with having a routine is that you start to notice all of the things that don't fall into that. You start to notice all of the fresh events and the new conversations that you have with your villagers. A routine makes those all feel a lot more visible. Best of all, with this update that's coming up, we're going to have a lot of new activities to fill up our days. We're going to have the Mystery Islands, Harv's Island, Brewster's Coffee Shop, Morning Stretching, and even the Happy Home Paradise job. There's really going to be a lot to do in version 2.0 of New Horizons. So I already mentioned number 3, and that is setting long-term goals. My daily routine in New Horizons is built around completing the big Nook Mile tasks. I need to catch 5,000 fish, I need to catch 5,000 bugs. All of those things that I do every day are going toward these long-term goals because I really want to complete every single card in this app. So I really recommend just defining goals for yourself. Maybe it's catching every critter in the Critterpedia. Maybe it's completing the museum. Maybe you want to craft every single DIY that you've collected. No matter what you make your goal, that is going to be your motivation every time you go into the game. And I would say these first 3 really tie everything together. Without time traveling, with a daily routine, and having long-term goals, you're going to be making incremental progress toward that over time, and then down the line, once you finally get there, once you achieve the thing you've been working toward, you're going to look back and think, wow, this is incredible, I can't believe I did that. I think these first 3 things that I do are really the biggest way that keeps Animal Crossing fresh for me every single game. But we're not done. Let's get into these last 4. Number 4 is rating your island. I'm of the belief that your island is never really finished. No matter how much you work on it, there's always more that you can do and more that you can change. So I think it's really worth critiquing your work. My partner actually went through her island and would just look at different areas and say, I really like this one, I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 5. Or she'd see some weaker parts and say, this is a 2. It needs to change. Being able to go through your island and finding the places that you're not completely happy with is a good way to just keep the game going. Find some different ways to decorate a space. If you're ever bored with an area, don't be afraid to just move everything and change it up completely. Number 5 is getting into collecting. I don't know if you've noticed, but there are a lot of things to collect in Animal Crossing, and that is true for every single game you play. I always get to the point in Animal Crossing where I want to own every single item, so you can catch me buying out every shop every day. And there are a lot of items that are a lot more difficult to get. Things like the villager photos and the bug and fish models are good examples of that. It's such a rush whenever you're able to get one of those difficult to find items. So I've actually got an app to help me organize all of those items and keep them cataloged so I know exactly what I've gotten and how much I have left to go. And as far as what to collect, there's actually a lot. You can learn every DIY, you can catch 3 of every bug and fish to make all the models, you can buy every piece of furniture, every piece of clothing, and get every KK Slider song. Really, it just depends on whether you want to collect or not. So number 6 may sound counterintuitive based on the last one, but it's gonna be don't trade. That's right. Avoid trading for those items you're looking for, just try to get them on your own. Don't go to those treasure islands to get everything that you could ever look for, just really avoid it. Just try to get everything on your own, really. The reason I say this is because I feel like it adds a sense of accomplishment when you finally find something that you've been looking for. It makes it way more exciting to go into your shop and finally see that piece of furniture you've been hunting down, or that piece of clothing you've been hunting down. And now that we have Reese and Cyrus customizing things that we couldn't customize on our own, this is going to be a great way for those people who can't visit other people and go shopping on other islands. Item collecting doesn't have to be so inconvenient anymore. So the final thing I recommend doing, number 7, take breaks. I've been playing this series since 2004, and I can tell you right now, I did not play every single day since then. If I'm bored of playing Animal Crossing, I just don't. I go and play something else. If you don't feel like logging in today, then don't. You really don't have to play if you're not enjoying it. So I've been hosting Haken, an Animal Crossing podcast, for over 4 years now. And I always tell people that our biggest goal with the show is to really capture the essence of Animal Crossing. And one thing that I find crucial to that experience is your ability to walk away from it. You don't have to log into Animal Crossing every day. You don't have to listen to our show every week. The beauty in it is that when you do decide to do that, we're still there. The game is still there, your villagers are still there, you can still go back and find your old friends whenever you're ready to come back. And those are the 7 ways that I keep myself from burning out on the game. So let me know what you think. Do you have your own pieces of advice for everybody? Please let them know in the comments how you like to play to keep the game fresh and new and exciting. And once again, you don't have to follow any of this advice if this just isn't the way you like to enjoy Animal Crossing. Ultimately, I want you to play the way that feels best to you. So anyways, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you all next time. Bye!